Recording is on. Linear search. We already went through this. Sequential, all right? Searches through the list, possibly through the entire list. Okay, and as we mentioned a moment ago, worst case scenario is that it's not found. So some names I come up with. Size. My array is going to be a size 12. The example I have here is from 0 to 11. Now, we never really want to do this because we don't necessarily know what size array we're using. So we want to be able to adjust if we need to. The name of my array is called array num. And I'm assuming array num is filled. And I'm now going to write the pseudocode to search this list. So I start to think of test data, hopefully. Some of you have stopped turning in test data. I don't know why, but the next program, I don't think you need test data, which is a good thing. Right? So I'm thinking, what if I go through the whole thing? That's my worst case. And in order to do that with an array of size 12, what type of loop could we use?
For loop.
For loop, right? Because I know the exact number of iterations. But my problem is, what if my number is 60 and I find it right away? Do I want to keep going through the loop? No, so I want to have a way to get out of it. So I think I'm not going to use a for loop, even though some of you say, well, can't we just use break and break out of the for loop? And you could, but there's also a learning process of what we're going to put inside of our loop. All right, so I'm going to say we need a while, some sort of while loop, and my conditions are possibly two different conditions. The first one we already talked about, going all the way through the loop. So I need some kind of counter to go from, in this case, 0 to 11. All right, so counter equals 0 before my loop. Inside this body, probably down here at the end, I'm going to need to increment that counter. And I'm going to say something along the lines of while counter is less than 12, I think I'm going to need something else. Or I'm going to use a flag. And the flag I'm going to use is found. And I'm going to say it's not found. Now, this is going to be my flag that I'm going to use in case the number is 60 and I find it and I want to get out of the while loop as quick as possible. All right, so now I have another variable called found, and I'm going to need to give it an initial value. The initial value I want to give it is
false.
False, thank you. So right now counter is 0, so it's less than 12. So it's true, I stay in. And my or would be not found, not a false is true, so that keeps me in.
Do you want an or between those, or do you want an and?
Very good.
Oh, wait, the not found. I need to think about it, but just the question.
Okay, and again, this is why I didn't want to do the for loop and get into the break. This is one of those things that we need to do. Okay, well, what if I came over here and I said, right now counter is 0, right now found is false. Will that keep me in here? Yes. Okay. That's going to keep me in here. I come in here, the number wasn't 11, so found wasn't true. How do I need to stay in this loop? I need my loop control variable to be true, this to be true. Do they both need to be true or one? Next time.
They both need to be true.
They both need to be true. So what am I going to change that in the middle to?
2 ampersand signs.
Thank you. To my and, which is 2 ampersand signs. Now, again, I wasn't sure. So what I did was I came over here and I started going through the loop. What if I got to 12 and it was never found? Would it stay inside of this loop? Well, when it was an OR, this was still true. And remember, with the OR, only one needed to be true. I'd be sitting here in an infinite loop. Counter would be going like crazy. Doesn't matter. This could be false. But with this being an OR, this was true and it kept going. Sometimes you need to just come over here and this is like test data. You know, I'm testing to make sure my loop works. Okay, so let's see. What do I want to put inside of here? I'm looking to see if a number is in there or not. So I'm assuming I have an input statement up above. I inputted a number, and it looks like if num
Equals array num parent or bracket counter.
Thank you. I was about to doze off there for a second. If that is true, what do we want to do? Well, one of the things we know we want to do is found gets the value of true. Okay. Will I need anything else? Well, yeah, I'm going to have to be able to say that it was found, because if it wasn't, you know, found is true, it kicks me out of my loop. And then what? Well, it ended either because I went through the whole thing or it was found, or maybe found is enough. Maybe I want to keep track of the location, 6 of one, half a dozen of another. But part of me thinks, well, let's get away with just found is true. Okay, so I have my if statement, I have my counter, and if it's true, it comes up, it kicks me out. So now down here in the bottom, I may have an if statement that says if found equals true, the number was found in the list, else display the number was not found in the list. So we'll have an if else in there. So if found is true, can I just do that? If found. Yeah, I don't even have to see if it's true or not, because it's true. This is a Boolean expression. Questions? Okay, I want you to code that. Recording is back on. The second type of search we're going to take a look at. And again, as I mentioned before, if you stay with ComSci, you're going to learn not only a lot of different sorts, but a lot of different ways to search to see if a number can be found. Again, a moment ago, the worst case scenario was to go through the entire list. And as you start to learn about other things, you're going to learn ways that will be shorter to go through a list. Right? A second way, this is actually going to cut it way down. And it should remind you a little bit of a program a lot of you wrote for me back in 121 that I asked you to let the user try and pick a number between 1,000 and 24. And if it wasn't the number generated by the random number generator, your program was supposed to say higher or lower. Well, why did I pick the number 1,024? Just for the heck of it? Just because it means kilo? Even though I had a student in 121 tell me that kilo is now 1,000 and 1,024 is a kilobyte, kilo, I don't know, something, because it's binary. It's KIBI, kibibyte. And I'm like, no, it's we're going to stay with what the old guy says. It's 1,024. And different places you look at different things. Anyhow, the reason we like 1,024 is because this is actually 2 to the tenth power. Yeah, it's 2 to the 10th power. So in that program, you should have been able to guess the number within 10 guesses. Ha. Why? Because it's higher or lower. So if the numbers were from 1 to 1,024, what should have been your first guess?
512.
512, right? So we're taking the whole binary and we're going to keep cutting this in half. And this is the whole higher or lower. So my actual number was 63. You know, you would, and I guess 512, you would say lower. Now I know it's in the range of the numbers from 1 to 512. What might your next guess be? It should be
256.
256, right? And again, since it's 63, it's lower. So now I'm looking at the range of numbers between 1 and 256. So I keep cutting it in half. I keep using this binary idea. Well, I'm going to take a look at a list, as you see up above. And how is this list different than the last one?
They're in numerical order.
Yeah, it's sorted. It's sorted ascending from low to high. So if I actually wanted to use a binary search on a list of numbers, if it was an unsorted list, I'd have to sort it first. So now you start talking about program efficiency. Does it add a lot to the actual time it takes to take care of the code and so on and so on? But we're going to take a look at what's going on with this guy. How would I actually check for a list of numbers? Well, again, I don't want to go binary because that would give me straight up 12 searches. I'd have to check, worst case, 12. Well, if I start doing binary and instead of guessing numbers, these guys are now array addresses. What array address, would, so I have 0 to 12. What array address do you think I should look in first? Well, what's halfway between 0 and 12?
6.
6, right? So I could go either 5 or 6. So 0, well, 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's 5. Here's 6. And I'm going to pick one of those. Again, it would depend on how you'd like to split. So now I'm going to guess what is in array location. My size is 12. So I'm going to go, let's check in 6. Okay? And I'm going to repeat that process. So my original range was from 0 to 11. I now pick 6. And what's in 6 is 36. And if the number I wanted was 15, I know that it's lower. So I'm letting this tell me higher or lower instead of the program here telling me higher and lower. So let's say the number was 15. I know that in array subscript 36. Nope. So now I know to look in the range from 0 to 6. Okay. How many items? Cut it in half. And I would keep cutting in half going, adjusting 0 and 6 like I was adjusting over here. Wow. So what type of pseudo? Well, how many searches should this take?
4.
4. Why?
I went through it manually to figure it out.
Okay. What's the next highest power of 2 above 12? 2 to the 4th power, which is 16. So you should be able to guess this in 2 to the 4th power. So really what this ends up being is what's known as, and this is extra for math experts, log base 2 of n searches. And of course you would int that, so on and so on. But now you see my number of searches instead of 12 has a worst case scenario of 4. Okay? So it's a faster search. And again, there are more and more ways to search it. So what would we do next? We'd start taking a look at, okay, what's the algorithm for this? And how would I code it? Well, let's see. We just did the algorithm. No, I'm not going to do the algorithm. I'm going to put you in groups. You're going to do the algorithm. And then once you have the algorithm looking good, you're going to call me and I'm going to say, that algorithm looks pretty good. Then you're going to code it. And again, you can implicitly initialize your array with these numbers. I'll leave this up on your screen. So I'm going to put you in groups. You're going to do your pseudo code and show me, and then you're going to program it. Somebody say yay.
Yay.
Yay. Okay, good. I need to recreate rooms. I don't want that. I want to recreate rooms. There should be, let's say, oh, we don't want a room of 2, do we? Are you okay with 2? 2s, you can sometimes get stuck with a freeloader who doesn't want to do anything. So I'm going to go with 3 or 4. Okay. Let me know if you have any questions.